Rishma. I'm sorry. When I'm on the other line, sometimes I don't know which button to press, and then I might have cut you off there. But I did try
That's
to
okay.
pick up your line.
I just started the voicemail to you.
Okay.
And I'm glad that we're able to connect.
Yes, thank you for calling me back.
Yeah, no, and I hadn't forgotten about you. I just wanted to give you more than what I'd offered in the conversation. I'm not able to, really, because Mackay is away and time difference and all of that is not, allowing him to check messages on the regular.
Yes.
So I'd love for you guys to have a chat, but I can tell you that we're not making changes to the lineup for tomorrow's debate. We're going to stick with what we put out there with the four.
Mm-hmm. And who are the four again?
It's Sarah.
Is that Sarah Clemenanga?
Yeah, Sarah and Saron.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jennifer Keesmat, and then John Tory. Yeah. Sarah Clemenhaga, and then Saron Jibril Salsi. I'm butchering the last names. But yeah, so, I mean, a decision was made, and the newsroom was going to stick by it, and stick by, there was a number of people on that editorial board that we had discussed, and they ended up voting for who they voted for.
Yeah, I didn't get an email because I know you got my email through Hotmail, but in that I had asked for who made up your editorial board. And so I haven't received an email reply as to who makes up your editorial board. Because I understood there were 6 people.
There isn't just one board. It was a specially selected editorial board. But
yeah, I understood there were 6 people involved.
Yeah, we're not going to get into the names of the people, but there are different frontline journalists and producers online. Like a good contingent of who makes up our workforce was represented with senior management present there. Mackay led that body, that special committee that was formed. But a lot of the players are, similar to the players, but that make those editorial decisions on a daily basis.
Well, I think it is important because it is a debate that you're using the Canadian airwaves to indicate or to share mayoral platforms and exclude other candidates' mayoral platforms, which is an unfair process. So it's not inclusive, and it's not the right way to use the Canadian airwaves. So because Global News is a private entity, it's privately owned, it is incumbent on them to share information as to who makes the decisions and how they come to those decisions, which is why I called to ask, right? I asked about the process and how you came to determine that, so that when I do share with the public, well, hey, this is what they said was their procedure. These are the people who made the decision, and this is why you have what's in front of you. And I think that is a fair inquiry, and it is something that was told to me that I would receive. So I'm just curious about that because I always like to line up my receipts to make sure facts are clear and to understand really what's going on. I mean, I already have my own perspective as to what's going on, but the public would like to know.
So I'm not privy to give those names out, right, for confidentiality purposes.
What would be the confidentiality? If they're
maybe they don't want their names to be out there. I mean, if they work at Global News, they're making these decisions on a daily basis. So what purpose does it serve to out them and say these guys, are the ones that made the decision? They make decisions every day.
Well, I actually don't see it as an outing. It should be transparent. Yeah. It should be transparent, and I think that's what is important. If we're talking about fairness and transparency in journalism, and again using the Canadian airwaves to share and disseminate information, in particular when it comes to a municipal election for 2.8 million Torontonians, that this is something that should be transparent because it's actually portrayed as if there was some independence or impartiality where there isn't. And so that's where those things should be transparent. Otherwise, you just keep yourselves cloaked in secrecy, and then people really don't trust the delivery of the information.
Right. Sorry, your voicemail is running at the same time as this conversation. I don't know why.
Oh, you mean yours? Yes. Okay, I heard some background noise, but I didn't know.
It's yours. It's your voice.
Oh, she sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think they're going to disclose the names.
But what's the secrecy behind that? That's the curiosity. If this is a democratic process, which I don't believe it is, then it should have been public. But I don't think it's democratic. And then that, again, raises more concerns about partisanship and ineffective broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Rishma?
I do. But at the same time, I feel like there's so many decisions being made. So then each time a decision is made, we say, this person made the decision.
I think there's always an accountability that's required of journalists. You use our airwaves to share information to the public, and you use it with some fees and other times freely. And so as a result, you have an absolute obligation and responsibility to be accountable to the public. Although I know it's actually you're accountable to someone else.
All our journalists are bound by our ethical guidelines. They're called the journalistic principles and practices, and you have to sign off.
Yes.
And you have to abide by them. And there is obviously a big chunk of it devoted to accountability and to bias and to all of that stuff.
And that's what I'm trying
in the job. So that's part of
what I'm trying to
job.
say, sorry, Rishma, what I'm trying to say is you have 6 people who have made a decision to put forward who they want to put forward as mayoral candidates in a municipal election affecting 2.8 million residents of the city of Toronto. And they're using the airwaves to do it. So putting aside all things that people know ethically that they're supposed to be doing, part of that is to include transparency in decision making. So if you and I know you had said, well, how many times do we need to do that? The point is, this is an election, and this is where I'm talking about the where people get discouraged and frustrated during municipal election, provincial elections, or even federal elections because they see a lot of the hypocrisy that goes on with the claim of democracy, and yet we all know there's something else. And that something else needs to be shut down. So if you're not part of that something else as an organization, then be transparent. Be what the public expects you to be. And in particular, again, there are 35 mayoral candidates, and if you reduce the number to 4, it misrepresents factual information, and that is not proper journalism. And to just say that there are 35 candidates, and you say, well, how did you come to the conclusion of picking these 4? Telling us that, these are the most popular, it's not true. It's not true. So it is really incumbent on the organization to be transparent in its approach, and to really, what my goal is to really end the sophistry that goes on within politics and really get to the heart of the real issues affecting the public. This is our lives that are at stake here. And every time we put forward mediocre status quo candidates, we get the same results because of the steps that media takes to maintain the status quo. And it's really as a result of that. I mean, everyone says it. When I knock on doors, everyone says, how come we're not seeing you in the news? And why are we always just seeing these 2 people, which is John Tory and Jennifer Keesmaat? Nobody knew who Jennifer Keesmaat was until you guys promoted her. You amplified her mediocrity, her status quo position. So it's this reality that you guys, you being the media, not you necessarily personally, but media takes advantage of certain positions to maintain the status quo. And as I've been tweeting out there, including some of the information with regards to my platform, it is the establishment that wants to keep certain things a particular way, and they use every might that they have to do it. And that's what this is demonstrative of. And if you guys are not willing to be transparent, then that's where people raise questions. When we spoke on Friday, I specifically said to you that I have no issue about having to publicly post something that I didn't get an answer to at first, whereas you took the time to explain some things. But there is that one component that's missing that was promised to me, that it would be provided to me, and I have not received it.
I don't recall promising you that.
You did not.
Conversation.
You did not promise.
Further conversation, to keep the conversation going.
Rishma, you're right. You're right. You did not promise it to me. It was your colleague who promised it to me. So, yes, okay. It's in the email. It's in the email.
Outside of the norm. You think about these really tough crime stories we work on, and protecting.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
We're talking about tough calls that are made on a daily basis.
No, this is not one of them. This is about affecting democracy. That's what it's about. And people's right to be informed. And that's where media fails us. They fail to properly inform the public.
My concern and my frustration is that I need Mackay to speak to you. And so I want to...
I absolutely get that. I absolutely get that.
Yeah, because I feel like I can only tell you what I know, and I wasn't part of that editorial board, and I wasn't privy to those discussions, but I know they weren't taken lightly. I know there was lengthy conversations. I know, majority wins in that situation, and people have different, opinions, and of who would be on the debate. But that's what I'm trying to facilitate for you, and it's frustrating because he's actually in a different time zone.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you doing this, by the way. I really do. And I don't want you to think that when I raise critical issues, that it's something as an affront to you or against you. I absolutely get it. My background is in film and television, and in health, two areas. You have the health, the finance, the film and television, but that's a whole nother story. But I'm not doing those things anymore because I'm focused now on really fighting for people's rights, because I recognize how many limitations and obstacles really are in place on purpose to hinder people's progress and their ability to live and thrive. And this is fundamental. When you actually connect with community and recognize how much people are struggling, and when things could be better all simply by a policy change, and it's not change because we keep electing people who people only get to hear about because the media tells them this, and so you only think this is your only option and never really get informed. The establishment takes advantage of people not having enough time to look into things and to investigate, and relying on them to give them the facts. And so that's where I go back to the responsibility and obligation that media has to rightly inform the public, and to do that. And in fact, it's actually a requirement under the law. But they get away with certain things by just simply saying, "Oh, okay, these are the clients. See, we mentioned you. That's it." And that's not fair representation. That's not accurately informing the public. And that really portrays the notion of democracy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to make that conversation happen. It's just the when. I know he's back tomorrow night or early Wednesday, I think, is when he's back to work. So I don't know exactly when his flight comes in.
Yes.
But the conversation needs to continue. Obviously.
Rishma, how do I spell Mackay, please?
Mackay.
And that's his first name?
That's his first name, Mackay. Yeah.
And what is his last name? Yeah, I thought it was Taggart, but I wasn't.
Taggart.
Oh, Mick.
Taggart.
Did you say Mick Taggart or just Taggart?
Mackay.
Sorry. The last name?
Oh, the second part? His last name is just Taggart.
It is just Taggart. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering, if it's possible, because you're not including me in this debate, I'd like to know if you would read a statement that I provide to you prior to the debate taking place. Or not you necessarily, but you would have read a statement prior to the debate taking place.
I can put it forward. I guess I don't know if it's going to work with the format, and then I don't know. I don't know if they would do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, and that's where I'm going back to inclusion, right?
Yeah. Dion, let me try to just place a call in. Maybe it's later in night. I can try to reach him and try to put you guys in touch. Okay.
If you're able to do that before 2:30, I appreciate your efforts. I promised my friend who turned 96 that I was going to spend some time with her today, and I have to do that. She's one of my biggest supporters and has been really looking forward to seeing me in the media. She says, "Why am I not seeing you?"
Look, I'm having a hard time getting into them all.
No, I understand. So what I'm saying is, if you're able to, great, but I might not be available after that, and I do appreciate your efforts. Feel free to leave me a voice.
I'm trying to make this happen right now.
Oh, I know you are, love. I'm just saying, if you get my...
Let me just call him right now, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Bye now.